Hey Tony, good to see you. I'm just working on my I'm editing my latest podcast episode. I was trying to drop that on Friday, but that didn't happen, so I'm working on it. I worked on it till 11:30 last night and I just could not continue. But tonight I've got a little more energy. So thought I'd see if I could get it done. So I was explaining to my wife, um, this is this particular episode uh, was new for me. I joined a podcast resourcing group. They connect you with different potential guests and things like that. And this gentleman that I connected with had some thoughts and ideas that are little more progressive than I think the people who are listening to the podcast are used to. They're kind of in the woo woo area, um, and would make people definitely would make people like my parents or my in laws uncomfortable. But um, like he was the nicest person that I've met. It was very engaging conversation. But I was explaining to my wife that I was nervous. I didn't want to come off disrespectful because of the nature of the topics that we were talking about. And so I stuttered a lot more than I usually do. So there was a lot of awkward pauses. There was a lot of ums and other space filler words. And there was a lot of repeated words because I was trying to think through in real time, like how I wanted to phrase a question or how to respond to some of the things that he was saying. So, um, my editing is taking a lot longer than usual for that reason. So, but it was such a wonderful experience. I got off, and this interview happened in the afternoon. So I got off and I told my son, who had been laying on the couch down here in the basement the entire time. So he only heard one side of the conversation, but I got off and I told him, I just love doing this. So anyway, yeah, I'll take a look at your article on the Belfast riots. I wonder, are you engaging with some socialist thought? I've actually been talking to members um, of the Socialist Party, not Socialist Democrat, but um, like the Fourth International, like people that trace their lineage all the way back to Trotsky, and yeah. So I read the articles on the World Socialist website, WSWS.org, and enjoy their perspective. But I was a little put off by the um I don't want to use the wrong word, but I can only think of president, but the president of the organization in that's based in Michigan. He's very educated. He seems like an interesting guy, but he was very dismissive of what they refer to as identity politics. So obviously, LGBTQ people are sort of thrown into that category, and I understand that they want to focus on uniting the working class and helping people to understand the class distinction that drives the wealth disparity between us. But I don't think it's right to dismiss the way that people are coming to their awakening realizations of what's going on in the world. And one of those ways is through identity. The LGBTQ community is, um, you know, rallying and creating momentum around human rights and civil liberties and things like that. And I think that's something that you step into and embrace and collaborate with, and not just dismiss as like people have the wrong focus or the wrong idea. So it's been interesting to get more of a socialist perspective. Um, but I'm queer myself. I'm part of the queer community, and so are my kids, and that's what got me kicked out of church. So that's obviously important to me. But I think we start the work wherever we do. You organizing people, creating community, and building momentum is about the face to face, arm in arm interactions that you have with people right where you are. So I hope that they are, so that kind of put me off, like I said, and I didn't stop, but my interactions with the party members have kind of dropped off. Um, but like I said, it's interesting to get a socialist perspective. And I think that there's a lot of things that we need to be aware of in organizing to fight against. Um, yeah, it's hard work, heavy work. So I think we need more. Think we need more riots here in the U.S. Yeah, that's something too. I think that liberation theology is grounded in the ethic that I'm talking about, like recognizing the intersectionality of where people are and raising that up as the threshold to how people engage the world around them. I mean, because that's your paradigm. That's your experience, and that's how you're going to interact with your neighbors. That's how you see the world. That's how those are your concerns. It's like if you have a family, your concerns are different than if you don't have a family, if you don't have kids or you don't have parents that you're looking after. Then obviously your concerns might be a little more personal and less diverse than somebody who's got to worry about, feeding three small humans or taking care of an elder. Um, so yeah, liberation theology is where it's at. I'm curious, how did you get connected with the new evangelicals? I heard about them. Um, I heard about them at Theology Beer Camp. Yeah. Yep. I thought that was probably our connection point. But yeah, I've been listening to Trip since 2008. Um, and I don't remember if I was around when he kicked off homebrewed Christianity, but he was definitely one of the names that got passed around my theological students circle, because he was radical, and so all of the pseudo intellectual theology students were talking about how heretical the things he was saying were and how they, disagreed in how they would correct his theology. Tom Ward as well. Tom Ward was, because I grew up Nazarene, or I grew up Catholic, and then we switched and I became Nazarene. I went to Nazarene College. I got a bachelor's and a master's degree at Olivet. And Tom Ward was definitely one of those that was on the Nazarene shit list, because he was way too progressive, talked about love too much. So, and holiness, talked about holiness too much in the holiness denomination. Yeah, my oldest is 16. So we've got to get her into driving school. I let her park the car. I had to sit in the car with her, definitely, because I'm we're not at that point where she can do it by herself, but I'm letting her get behind the wheel. So yeah, definitely feel that age as well. Are you going to theology beer camp this year? Yep. Yep. Phyllis Tickle. Um, we were talking about the emerging church um, in theology classes, and I got Phyllis a couple of Phyllis Tickle's books. Um, and I should have watched her on YouTube because a lot of her stuff was being put out on YouTube. But I had so many books to read for my systematic theology classes and philosophy classes that I fell behind on my year in grad school. So it was like 2012 is when I binged um, Breaking Bad, and that was like the only thing that I was watching on media. Otherwise, I was just reading books and writing papers. But yeah, love Phyllis Tickle. Still going through her stuff. And Brian McLaren is one of my favorite people ever. Um, Me and my buddy actually got to sit with him at the last, not the last beer camp, but the one before that. And I was kind of freaking out inside, but he's great. Yeah, I know that there's people a lot smarter than me that have sort of moved, whose ministries have evolved out of the emerging church movement. And so they've kind of moved on. But I still think that the progressive church is emerging. I think that there are a lot of, or a few, I think that there are a few serious questions about what the church is going to be in the near future and how they're going to handle this schism between progressive Christianity and conservative evangelical or white national Christianity. And so I think that something is still emerging out of that. Yeah, about Breaking Bad, like I always I you can see some of the stuff behind me, but I love good story. I love good stories. And all my life I found them before I was reading books cuz my family wasn't a reading family. But I had comic books and I still have all of the comic books that I had as a kid. So morality tales, love them. A good character arc just gets me. And the thing about the villain is that the most believable and most compelling villains are the ones that you can sympathize with. So the whole character arc for Walter White is so relatable. I grew up in a poor family that thought it was middle class. Like my parents tried really hard, but they weren't fooling us because we knew that we were eating, you know, the canned food and the off-brand stuff. We knew that we couldn't. Like we felt guilty about asking our parents if we could play instruments. So we knew that we were poor. Um, and I we still struggle. My wife and I still struggle. I'm making more money now than I ever have in my current position, but it's so relatable. The idea that if sudden tragedy hit, like I would be compelled to do the most drastic thing that I could think of to try to take care of my family or myself. Maybe not so much myself, but anyway. Yeah, I was curious if he was going to Luther. I figured that's where he was going. Yeah, I would have loved to tune into that. I I have a second job that I work with the Girl Scouts organization here in my town. I'm an event host, so I worked about 8 hours today for the Girl Scouts. So I tried to edit my episode, but I wound up being needed by the groups, so that was nice. Anybody I was wondering what platform TNE was built on. I think it's fantastic. I haven't been interacting as much as I started out doing, but I think it's so cool. I like what they're doing with the classes. I like the regional connections, although they did just reorganize that. So some people were the Midwest Hangout group is pretty diverse. So there's a lot. There's some people in Ohio in there. There's Michigan. There's Illinois. There's I think Minnesota was dropped in there. So like I get it. It makes sense. But geographically, like I was hoping to maybe connect with some people that I could drive to and see. But yeah, it's a cool platform. So that's neat that you're doing that. Yeah. Is it giving you any error messages? Sorry, I'm going into IT mode. Is it giving you any error messages like about the file type or size or anything like that? Mm, yeah. Yeah, now you've got my antennas activated. I've been in IT for 15 years in higher education, so I get distracted a lot when people have issues that are probably just simple issues, but you can't get a hold of a person to figure them out with you. Yeah. Almost done. Weaponization of technological tools. That's funny. That's the section I was on when you were talking about having tech problems. I know you're active on Substack. Are you thinking about getting into any podcasting or do you do podcasting? Yep. All right. If you got to bounce off, thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it. I started doing this. Well, I decided to do it tonight because I'm a little jacked up on Mountain Dew, and there was a guy, a philosopher that I've been following, and he challenged his he challenged his followers to do what he'd been doing, which is logging on and just being live, being present for like 30 days. So I guess this is my first day, June the 14th. So I'll see if I can go 30 days. Have a great evening. Thanks. Maybe. Come here. You gotta come here. Come here. Okay. Come here. Hi. Hi, baby. Nope. Nope. Don't show the people your butt. It's not that kind of stream. Come here. Come here. You do some ASMR. She does not like that. She does not like it. What? Okay. 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 Come here. Honestly. Literature expands the original lore. Hmm. Ow. Your claws hurt. I'm making biscuits on my leg. Oh. Ow. You get in on that? That's my cat June, who's currently making biscuits on my leg. June and her brother Benny are named after the titular characters of the movie Benny and June. With your ears all scrunched up, baby. I forget the name of the brother, June's brother, who played Benny, the actor who played Benny. But Johnny Depp played the love interest of June. So, yeah. So we've watched that movie a few times. Yeah, okay. I think you got to be done.
All right. Good night, Substack Universe.